welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about a brand new feature that sneaked out on the Amazon Echo line of devices, and that is a new voice and wake word Ziggy. But before we get into that in any sort of detail, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by the New Vision program at Goodwill. We're also grateful for the kind use of WVTF Studios. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments living in Southwest Virginia. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving the New River, Roanoke, and Shenandoah Valleys of Virginia. Goodwill's mission services help individuals with disabilities and disadvantages to get back to work and gain greater independence. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Well, hello again, and welcome back to the Echo Tips Podcast. As I mentioned earlier, today's episode is we're going to be highlighting a new wake word on the Amazon Echo. The wake word is the mechanism by which you wake her up, and she starts listening. Typically, it's going to be the A lady name. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but more importantly, which many have been proclaiming for a long time, there is a new voice available on the Amazon Echo. And this isn't a celebrity voice, although there are several of those, like Samuel L. Jackson, if you look back at some of our previous episodes. But this is an actual default masculine voice. So I know many of my students who perhaps have hearing impairments and other things can hear certain types of voices, either a feminine or masculine style voice, and they can hear those some better in certain respects. Now, before I delve deep into that end of the pond, I'd like to welcome our new listeners to the Echo Tips Podcast. You'll find that we have little nuggetized episodes here. We try to keep it 5 to 15 minutes long and hopefully teach you something new and interesting, or sometimes we revisit some of the classics. For our returning listeners, we'd like to welcome you back as well, and I believe probably as of this week, we're probably breaking 70,000 listens, or we're really, really close. And so we appreciate your listenership. At the tail end of the episode, we'll mention some ways you can reach out to us and find out more about us, maybe even with suggestions for future episodes. Okay, so let's delve right into this material. Now, if you do have an echo and hearing distance in my voice, you may want to shut its ears off, because I am going to start throwing around the A-lady name quite a bit, and I don't want to trigger your echo at home and cause all sorts of chaos. If you're listening to this podcast on your echo, you should probably be fine, but if you had another one that could maybe hear me, you might want to shut its ears off. Okay, so let's delve right into this. I recently learned about this on an article on The Verge's website, and they kind of delved into this material. Ironically, I didn't see anything about this on Amazon's website or on their monthly roll-up, although I imagine it will appear here in the next week or so on the monthly roll-up for the month of July. Okay, so let's delve right into this. What are wake words? If you've never heard that expression before, wake words are the words you use to trigger it. So typically that would be the name Alexa, or you could set it to be computer, Echo, or Amazon. I do have a handful of students that set it to Echo, but more than likely it's always going to be typically Alexa. And if you feel like Captain Kirk, you could use computer. Well, the new wake word is Ziggy. Yes, that's right, Ziggy with a Z. And you can set that as a new wake word as well. Now, The Verge didn't cover this, and I don't know if they knew, but I'm pretty sure the reason Ziggy was used is, one, it's probably not a very common name, and two, due to Amazon's intense interest in sci-fi, as computer denotes, I think that might be an allusion to the 90s hit TV show Quantum Leap, where the super AI computer you could talk to was called Ziggy. So that would be my best guess. But anyway, both of these are separate features. So to change these settings, that is Ziggy, the wake word, and to switch to a masculine voice, but you can do both independently. You could still use the A-lady name and then have a masculine voice, whatever you feel like. So anyway, to do that, you're going to open up your A-Lady app on your phone or tablet. And I doubt you could do this through the website. You might be able to, but definitely go through the tablet or smartphone. If you're on an Echo Show with a touchscreen, you could also go to Settings. And in that environment, it'll be a little differently. I'm going to focus mostly on the app. So you open the A-Lady app. You're going to go to Devices, which is down in the bottom right corner. You alternatively could go to the More menu button and then go to Settings. Either way, you're going to land in this Devices tab. In the Devices tab, you're going to specifically tap on Echo devices because it does mention light bulbs and plugs and other things there, so you want to tap on Echo devices. They've kind of changed the way this is all laid out, and you got to dig a little deeper. Once you're on the next page, you're going to have a list of all your Echo devices and their associated names. So in my instance, I had a Amazon Echo Show 10 first generation, I believe, and I also have an Echo Dot. This is either the first or second generation that I have here sitting next to my microphone. And this isn't perfectly mic'd, so I apologize. Now, ironically, I tried to get the wake word on the Echo 10 many, many different times. It just doesn't want to seem to go. I don't know if there's a software update waiting or some sort of bug I've encountered. I could switch to the masculine voice, but I couldn't seem to do it. So for our demonstration today, I'm going to be using both on my Echo Dot, ironically, which is, I think, a first or second generation Echo Dot. This might be the second generation, but I can't quite remember. Okay, so you're going to go into that next panel after you tap on the Echo that you've selected. In this case, it would have been my Echo Dot. And you're going to notice on the next page, you have just very generic information. Like I said, they've changed this interface. It shows what your Echo is presently doing or has recently done, and some generic audio, like musical information, what it was last played. You're going to need to hit the gear icon in the top right corner, which is your settings button. And now we are on the page we need to be at. So you can scroll down the page, and I think it's somewhere on the second page. You can go to wake word. It's going to show you the currently selected wake word, and you can tap on that, and then you can scroll down and you can tap Ziggy and set it. And it may take a few moments. It's going to give you a little dialog box that prompts you that it could take a few seconds. Alternatively, you may also see in there, if you've used some of the celebrity voices like Samuel L. Jackson, you may see that toggled on or off. For simplicity, I was having so many bugs with mine today that I just shut off Samuel L. Jackson. Now, whether that ultimately led to the ability for this to work or not, I'm not sure, but I did toggle it off because I was having so much trouble, and then enabled Ziggy. Okay, and like I said, that still never worked on my Echo Show 10, but it did work on my Dot. My Dot is working with this setting. Okay, so that's how you change the wake word to Ziggy. The very next option, if you go back to that menu again in the settings gear, you'll see right under wake word, you'll see Alexa voice. And you have, I think, what's called the original and the new. So the original is the classic A-Lady voice, and the new one is the new masculine style voice, if you will. And anywho, there was something else I was going to say. Oh, another thing that may have contributed to my problems is I had under language, I had it set to English and Espanol. That ability for her to interoperate bilingually in certain households. So I did switch that over to English when I was, now once again, whether that ultimately resolved things on my Dot or not, I'm not too sure. My Dot had, honestly, this is an older model, had been sitting in a drawer for a long time, and I just pulled it out here. So that may or may not have contributed to it ultimately working. Okay, but still, never got it to work on my 10-inch Echo Show, ironically. Anyway, so I think that's about it. It's time to demo Ziggy. Ziggy with this new masculine voice. So here, let me turn its ears on. Ziggy, give me the weather report.
Right now in Roanoke, it's 77 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly cloudy skies. Today's forecast has some sun and thunderstorms, with a high of 93 degrees and a low of 70 degrees.
All right, so I'll shut her ears off again there and set her down. So hopefully you were able to hear that pretty well. Like I said, the speaker on the Echo Dot isn't the greatest, especially this early version. And I didn't get a chance to really mic this appropriately. But anyway, now that I shut our ears off, I can start talking a little bit more about it. So the unique feature about this versus the celebrity voices, even though the celebrity voices like Samuel L. Jackson sound amazing, despite that, they can't do everything. So, often if you had Samuel L. Jackson, you could say, hey, Sam, tell me this, tell me that. There were a lot of things you couldn't do, and it would switch over to the default Alexa feminine voice, and it would carry out the function. Now with this new masculine voice, you can literally, in all environments pretty much, have that style of voice. Now, I would imagine that would carry through as the default in a lot of the skills and apps, unless the skill had been customized maybe in some way. But anyway, that gives you a little peek into that feature, and give it a try. Try it out. Now, at this moment, I do believe this is a US-only centric feature, but hopefully it will be coming around the world. I know, especially as I mentioned, individuals that have certain hearing impairments may find this extremely beneficial. Well, that wraps things up. It's time to turn the ears on your Echo back on. Start practicing some of the many things you've learned. If you'd like to find out more about me at the New Vision program at Goodwill, you can look me up at goodwillvalleys.com/newvision, all lowercase, no spaces. And you can also look us up at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys on Facebook or Twitter, and send us a suggestion or a topic you'd like to see us cover. All right, excellent. Well, we thank you once again for listening.
Thanks, Dave. In conclusion, let me tell you a thing or two. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and it is also made possible in part by a grant from Community Foundation serving Western Virginia. And there's more. We're also grateful for the kind use of WVTF Studios. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments living in Southwest Virginia. For more information, check out our website at goodwillvalleys.com/newvision, with no spaces. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving the New River, Roanoke, and Shenandoah Valleys of Virginia. Goodwill's mission programs help individuals with disabilities and disadvantages to get back to work and gain greater independence. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Thanks for listening.